A young girl thinking that if she had not been born, then everything would have been different. The man claims that if she had not been born, but had died even then, he could have remained just an unhappy man who lost his wife and daughter. He says that now they both have turned into monsters and asks if she is happy. A girl with bright red hair, turning to her father, says that she does not know what it means to be satisfied, and not only that, but in general, she does not know any emotions. The young lady claims that a wedding with a man whom she has never seen, and rumors about his betrayal imprisoned you in a dungeon on suspicion of murdering her husband's mistress. The girl claims that she can completely cope with this. The red-haired girl didn't think there was any reason for her to receive punishment for a crime she didn't commit. However, she wanted to live, so she ran away from there. The young lady wanted to survive, and therefore killed her pursuers. And since then, everyone began to call her a terrible witch, a killer, and rogue. However, the girl herself is to blame for what happens to her, because this is retribution for her sins. The old sick man looks at her and suggests that she should end it all. The main character looks at this old man and says that he cannot defeat her. However, man creates memories, or memories formulate man. The young lady remembers what her father called her a monster. She asks herself if this means that she has truly become a monster. Roy thought that she was very tired of all this, and if you think about it, it wouldn't be so bad to die at the hands of a father who hates her, because it will be a very fitting ending without all the extra stuff. The 548th city, according to the imperial calendar, is the day the main character's eyes closed forever. However, in the morning, the girl woke up and thought that she was very tired and was surprised that she was alive, because her father is not the type who would heal her wounds and put her to bed. Walking around the room, the girl does not understand what happened, and she thought that she needed to calm down and think. Looking at the mirror, the main character remembered that it broke when she was 17 years old. Looking in the mirror, the girl saw her face as a child. Entering the room, the maid asks if the lady is awake. The girl saw Betty and was very surprised. The excited maid says that the girl fell down the stairs and she was very scared for her. Roy looks at Betty and says that she has become younger too. The maid heard this and asked what she was talking about. However, the girl still jokes about this situation. The surprised main character assures the maid that she is not joking and asks how old she is now. Surprised, Betty replies that she is 16 years old, and at the same time, the young lady asks how old she is. The maid replies that she turned 15 a few days ago and asks if everything is all right with her mistress. The girl says that she has one more question and asks what year it is. Hearing the answer, the young lady thought that she had returned to the past. The main character told the maid that she hit her head when she fell down the stairs and therefore doesn't remember anything. She didn't even think that Betty would believe it. The girl asked to show her the house, and the maid did it with pleasure. She showed the gallery to the young gentleman's bedroom on the other side and asked if she wanted to go there. The young lady recalls that she often visited there until she left her parents' house. However, she thought that perhaps she would like to see her mother. However, the main character felt that she did not experience any emotions. Betty, seeing the man, says that it is Mr. Leston. The girl suddenly had a strange feeling. The man asks what she is doing here. The main character remembers that she killed him. However, now she needs to answer, and she says that she just wanted to look at her mother's portrait. The young man says that the girl should leave because it is better for her not to catch the eye of her father. The maid says that she was very excited when she saw Mr. Leston. The girl with red hair thought that he definitely didn't like her. Leston Chloe is the man who pointed the sword at the main character, and he is her only brother. The girl remembers that he always blamed her for killing her mother, and he claimed that the main character was not his sister. Standing near the door, the young lady thinks that her brother has also come to look at her mother's portrait, and this means that such a cold person may also miss those who died. The whole day, the young lady thought about why this happened to her, and why should she relive this again? However, there are so many people in the world who would like to turn back time because they regret their past. The main character thinks that she never wanted anything like this. She asks the question whether she will have to live this life again. The girl thinks this is very boring and unpleasant. However, the next day, a new problem appeared. Betty brought the main character an invitation. The maid says that although she did not often, she regularly attended social events because there's no mistress in the family of the Marquis Chloe. The young lady says that, if you think about it, it is, since she and Leston shared the social event among themselves. The girl thought that since she had recently returned to the past and she didn't really want to go out. However, she will not do anything about it because it is her responsibility. After this, Betty continued to behave strangely. The young lady asks her if she is hiding something and let her speak because the girl will not be angry. The maid says that since memory is not quite normal in the village, she should better rest for a while. The young lady says that she does not know what her maid is hiding. However, she thinks that she will be able to rest peacefully after hearing everything. Concerned, Betty says that perhaps she doesn't remember, but to be honest, after her 15th birthday, the Marquis held their engagement ceremony. When the main character heard about this, the first thought that appeared in her head was that this was precisely at a time when the girl was not particularly worried. The maid talks about how it was possible to arrange an engagement without meeting in person. However, she is still the eldest daughter of the Marquis. And the guy's name is Keynes Roderick, is the son of Count Roderick. The young lady looked at Betty's upset face and thought about how she had accumulated over the years and, as a result, brought her to this end. Keynes Roderick is the man to whom the main character was engaged at 15 and married at 18, and I didn't even see him before the wedding. If the girl expressed her dissatisfaction with the engagement, or at least became friends with Keynes, then perhaps something would change. The main character, turning to the maid, says that there is nothing special since many people enter into arranged marriages. She suggests that she better prepare the girl for the ball. Left alone in the room, the young lady found the book behind which she had hidden her diary at the age of 14. Cows of Magical Origin. Method of Application. Blood Recording. The girl started writing this diary when she first learned to control magic, and since she returned to the past, a deviation could occur. However, now her name has a different name. Ice. Touching the book, the girl thought that it was very cold. Rose magic could change the properties of objects. The girl thought that she should put it back before no one noticed, because it would be more accurate to say that the girl partially endowed the object with a certain feature. However, such magic could not last long. Suddenly, someone knocked on the main character's room. This man turned out to be her brother, who says that he heard that Count Richard had sent her an invitation. Leston claims that he has personal reasons for being there and invites the girl to give the invitation to him. Roy thought that it would be better if he came before she started getting ready. However, she asked what those reasons might be. The brother tells her that he cannot tell. The girl says that she does not want to give away the invitation. Suddenly the maid screams because they are brother and sister. They cannot go there together. The main character thinks that if they entered the hall, they can now walk separately. She thought that she should take a walk because she had nothing to do anyway. While walking in the garden, a young lady witnessed a murder. She thought that many had seen her go out into the garden and might well become a suspect. Roy sat down and touched the water with her index finger and said that her name was Air. The source of magic is blood. She changes the properties of the item because she recently returned to the past. However, the girl does not want to be called a killer anymore. The main character ducked into the water in the hope of saving a drowning woman. However, the girl was not going to save her since she could easily arrive and save her just as easily. Because it wasn't a problem for her. While lifting the woman from the bottom of the lake, Ro thought that she was very heavy. And a 15-year-old girl doesn't have enough strength, but still, she thinks that she needs to climb a little more. The young lady realizes that magic ceases to work as different as it was 5 years ago. Suddenly, the girl thought that this was the end and her dress was tangled. However, she felt someone grab her hand and pull her up. Sitting on the bank of Ro, I felt relief. And the young man looks at her and says that she saved Cecilia. Cecilia Richard is the same girl who will marry Leston in a few years. This couple married for love, which is very unusual. The main character was very scared when she met Leston's gaze. It turns out that he can have more than just a rude expression on his face. An unfamiliar guy asks the main character if she knows Leston, and the girl answers that he is her brother. The guy says, why should he not ask her name, and asks if she can identify herself. The girl told her name Roy Chloe, and after that, the stranger introduced himself to the girl, saying his name was Arthur Robert. The young lady remembered that Arthur was a famous magician, only in a completely different sense. However, if the main character was a terrible witch who was hated by the whole world, and Arthur was the best magician whom everyone adored, and she never heard any negative gossip about him. However, magicians can be different, and these were the thoughts that were in the main character's head. Thinking that the clothes are dry, tell Roya that she heard about him and thanked him for his help. The girl says that it's time for her to go and suggests to the magician that it would be better to dry Lady Cecilia's clothes as well. Suddenly, Cecilia thanked the girl for saving her as she almost died. The rescued girl promised next time that she would officially invite Ro to her estate. The young lady, hearing such words of gratitude, was a little confused since she heard this for the first time, and replied that there was nothing, and she thought that she had a good feeling. In the evening, lying in bed, the maid turns to her mistress and says that she had a hard time today and let her rest. Suddenly, someone knocked on the girl's room. This uninvited guest turned out to be her brother, who wanted to thank her for saving Miss Cecilia. Roya does not understand why her brother thanks her, and the girl immediately asks a lot of questions whether they are already engaged or officially dating, and whether he admitted his feelings. Brother replies none of this is true. The girl says that there is nothing between them, and this is unrequited love. However, he should not thank her. Leston realized his mistake and apologizes to his sister. He explains that at that time he was on his way to Mrs. Cecilia, and therefore could not pay attention to her. Since she is his sister, he should not have neglected her and run after another lady. The main character calms him down and says that he doesn't have to worry about this, because she doesn't know what a real family is, but she has heard in general terms. However, in a real family, emotional communication and pleasant memories of each other are not important. Between the Marquis and Leston, he was proud of his son and heir. The girl thought, so what, but this is not between them. Therefore, the two of them can be considered a family, and they are nothing. There is no connection other than blood relationship. The main character tells her brother that they rarely see each other and have never even had a heart-to-heart talk, so there are no positive emotions in her, but rather the opposite. The young lady questions whether they were even a family and immediately closed the door to her room. In the morning, the maid brought an invitation from Count Richard's estate to the lady's room. Roy, reading this invitation, asks Betty if it is necessary to go there because she is so reluctant. The maid responds that this is the first time she has been invited for personal reasons, and this invitation is a great chance to make friends. The girl says that she doesn't really need friends. Betty, after listening to the girl, objects because everyone needs friends, especially her. The main character claims that she doesn't care, but the maid convinces the girl not to say that because she should expand her social circle a little. After some time, Roy arrived at the estate of Count Richard and was met by a maid who told her to wait a little because the lady would be coming soon. Cecilia arrived with her brothers, and Arthur recognized the girl and approached her and said that he had not seen Roy since Miss Cecilia fell into the water. Madame Cecilia, turning to the young girl to thank her for coming, and she says that she wants to properly introduce herself and her twin brother. The twin brother suggested calling him simply Noel, and Cecilia asked for forgiveness for calling his brother rude. Looking at them, the young lady thought that this was the relationship with the people Betty was talking about. While pouring tea, Arthur asks how old the girl is, and heard the answer say that she is only 3 years apart from them. The guy says that they are all 18 years old and have been friends since childhood. Cecilia says that to be more precise, they paid attention to Arthur and played with him. Hearing about this, the guy was a little surprised, and Noel claims that Arthur was so unfriendly before. Roy thought that the word friends had nothing special. The main character asks Cecilia if she invited her because she wanted to ask something, and, for example, about the criminal who pushed her into the water that day. The surprised lady looks at the main character and asks how she guessed about it and whether she happened to see who did it. Roy remembers and says that it was dark there and she couldn't see her face. However, this man had red or brown hair and was also wearing a dress. This woman approached the lady from behind, pushed her, and quickly ran away. The girl says that too many people might fit this description and asks the question, "Isn't that right?" She asks why Cecilia was there. The lady says that someone gave her a note, and to be honest, she thought that Noel or Arthur called her, and that's why she went there. Arthur suggests that the head of the family, Richard, should look for the criminal. Cecilia says that she doesn't want to inflate this matter and cause trouble for her parents, and even more so, she can run away if her elders get in the way. Noel asks the lady if she wants to act as bait and warns that it is dangerous. Cecilia and say that it's okay, because Arturi and Noel are next to her, and everyone who knows that she was pushed into the water is here. The young lady does not understand why she ended up here, since she is seeing Cecilia for the second time in her life. Roy says that it's time for her to tell everything she knows. Mrs. Cecilia turns to the girl and apologizes because she was too carried away by her own conversations and offers to talk more closely with her. The lady says that Roy was invited here by Arthur. The guy with blonde hair, addressing the main character, says that in addition to problems with the criminal, he just wanted to see her. Because he is very interested in her as a person, and he asks if the girl is a magician. Arthur claims that since she is 15 years old and is smaller in build than Cecilia. However, in that situation, she was able to pull her out of the water when the lady was unconscious, and the wet dress made her even heavier. The surprised young girl asks Arthur whether he thinks she used magic. The blonde guy says that day she saw Mr. Leston run to Cecilia, and at the same time she remained too calm. Roya asks the question, what does Mr. Leston have to do with it? Arthur replies that at that moment he left his sister and rushed to Cecilia. However, isn't it strange because they are so close to me? The surprised main character asks what's wrong with this. The blonde guy replies that she doesn't seem to be at all aware of the peculiarities of magicians. The blonde guy claims that magicians are respected among aristocrats, and it is unclear why she hides her abilities. The young girl replies that everything is not much as he says. However, she knows little about magicians, because she just knows how to use magic. Cecilia says that magicians are rare and are special people. If they appear at social events, they immediately become the center of everyone's attention. That day, until she fell into the water, everyone around was only discussing Arthur. The lady asks if the girl noticed this. Roy replies that the reason she didn't notice was because she wasn't interested. The lady says that it seemed so to her because the girl is also a magician. The main character thought that everything was connected. The main character says that her maid, who came with her, waited too long and it's time for her to go. Seeing the girl off, Cecilia invites her to come and visit her at any time since she's always welcome here. Arthur offers to guide the main character, but she refuses. When Ro went to the carriage, Arthur screams that he will follow her, and Noel asks why. The magician says that Ro is a young magician, and this means that he must make friends with her because this is one of their responsibilities. While getting into the carriage, the young lady hears Arthur calling her. Seeing the fair-haired guy, the maid says that he is the heir of Duke Robert, and he is a magician. The main character is surprised that Betty, she knew everything. The maid says that Arthur is very famous. She heard that despite his young age, he is a capable magician and also a noble, handsome man. Arthur says that he wanted to tell the girl something, and maybe she wants to hear it. The main character orders the maid to wait for her in the carriage. Arriving at the garden, Ro says that the fair-haired guy can tell her. Arthur claims that if she knows who the magicians are, then she too will be able to recognize them at first sight. The young lady is interested in this, and the guy asks if she has ever felt that she was different from those around her. For example, whether she could not understand others. The blonde guy explains that in more fundamental things, let's say everyone is crying or angry, but she doesn't care, or she doesn't understand at all why others might hate or be angry. The girl replies that it seems to her that she has always been like this. Arthur claims that this is the peculiarity of magicians because they have enormous power, but in return, they are devoid of emotions. However, with his age, you can learn to show feelings. However, humanity for magicians is an acquired quality. Roy asks the guy if he was originally like that too. The blonde guy answers that, of course. Around the age of 12, he began to understand emotions a little. However, between the small ones, those who have not yet fully learned to feel are called young, like and like her. Arthur says that usually such young magicians are introduced to a more experienced one who teaches them to recognize emotions. He claims that girls also need a teacher. Hearing this, Roy says that he is mistaken because she does not need the services of a teacher. She thanks the guy for telling him and claims that she is happy with everything. The main character says that if she had feelings, she would not be able to withstand the fact that everyone rejects her. Arthur says that if she doesn't want to study with the teacher, then they can just become friends. The surprised girl asks why she should be friends with him. The blonde guy says that friends are people who are always happy to see each other and share their feelings and experiences with each other, because she will be able to experience different emotions, and this will help her cope with life's difficulties. While in her mansion, the maid reports that there is a letter for the lady again, and she says with pleasure that the girl finally has friends. The main character stated that she has no friends, and Betty says that she should not be ashamed of it. Having opened the letter to Roya, she read that Arthur would come for her. And at that time, the girl thought that she had contacted annoying people, because she had to leave everything as it was so that the mistress would then drown. However, the main character remembered the words of the fair-haired guy, who said that friends would help her better cope with life's difficulties. The girl thinks that this cannot happen in the first place. However, when they find out who she is, they will also despise her. Betty asks the young lady since she received an invitation to go to the meeting today. The girl replies that she is not going anywhere. However, after some time, Cecilia arrived at the Rowe mansion and says that she heard from Arthur because he warned the girl and asks if she knows anything about it. The main character replies that she received a letter this morning. Having heard this, Cecilia says that he did not explain anything and says that a big reception begins today. The lady asks the girl if she is interested in social events. The blonde says that the big reception is the biggest ball held in the imperial palace, and then he goes to the festival in the center of the city, where all the representatives of the aristocracy gather. Cecilia reports that today is the first day of the holiday, and there will be a lot of interesting things. She invites the main character to go together. The surprised young lady says that she doesn't want to because she doesn't like large crowds of people. After some time, Rowe and Cecilia found themselves in the main square of the city, and the main character thinks why she came there. The lady says that it is very beautiful here, and in the evening it will be even better. The fair-haired guy heard this and answered with pleasure. No matter how it was, they still came together. The main character, seeing Noel, says that she has already seen these clothes somewhere. Twin brother answer that this is a form of knightly warrant, and since there will be a lot of people at the festival today, he will monitor security. The sister asks why he is on duty at this time. Noel claims that he now has free time and is awaiting orders from the head of the order, who has gone on a round. And perhaps he is already drinking somewhere because he is a rather idle person. However, the twin brother in general can also enjoy the holiday, and this is the main thing. Cecilia asks the main character if she likes it here, because this is the largest holiday in the empire, and many traders from other countries come here. The young lady, looking at all this, doesn't understand what's good about it. He saw a crowd of people standing in line. Mrs. Cecilia says that these people want to buy strawberry mochi and asks the girl if she has tried it. Roy replies that no, because this is her first time in such a place. The blonde says that it is an oriental dessert with strawberries inside and offers to try it because it is very tasty. Cecilia says to wait a bit for her as she goes to buy mochi and invites Arthur to meet a little later on the central bridge. Walking closer to Roya, the blonde boy smiled and said that Cecilia seemed to care about her a lot. The girl asked why and did not hear an answer, because Arthur only smiled. Walking around the square, the main character's gaze was turned by a salesman who was selling knives. The surprised guy asked why she needed this. The girl replied that she needed the knife to use magic. The surprised guy says that this is the first time he has heard about the use of a knife in spells. Arthur uses gems because he has mineral magic, but sometimes he puts on jewelry, most often gloves with precious stones. The surprised girl says that this is probably very expensive for me. The blonde guy agrees with the girl and says if it weren't for the situation of his family, he would probably have lived his whole life like this, having the ability to use magic. Because for him, stones are consumables. The main character thinks about what her life means, something like a consumable. However, if the dose is not lethal, she will not die. Rose says that her magic is relatively economical, and she invited the guy to move on. Arthur says that he has a feeling that their conversation was cut off in the middle. He looks at the girl and thinks that although she is a magician, she is still very unusual. Most mages learn emotions from their mage parents. They learn such basic human feelings as fear of death, morality, ethics, empathy, and love. Mages can adapt to society and learn to use their powers to their advantage. Arthur thinks that usually, at the age of 12, such young magicians are almost no different from their advisors. But Rose seemed to have not gone down this path at all, because she saved Cecilia, and her behavior does not go beyond generally accepted norms. A blonde guy looks at a young lady walking down the street among people, and he gets a feeling of her specialness. Roy feels a strong tension towards this world, but perhaps also hostility. Arthur watches the girl and worries about her, since a magician who has not learned to feel can easily harm people. They are not liked by those around them, and they begin to destroy everything and thus become dangerous to society, destroying themselves and everything around them. The blonde guy thinks that Roya is only 15 and that she is just a child who needs help. Arthur suggests to the girl that they should hold hands because it might be too dangerous in such a crowd. Ro claims that she can walk on her own. The guy reports that she is at risk of getting lost. The girl says that she has never been lost and should not be treated like a child. Hearing this, Arthur realized that when you walk with a small child, you should always hold his hand. However, the main character, who 30 seconds ago said that she is not lost in the crowd, does not understand where she is. The young lady is sure that she is not lost, but Arthur is. She thought there were too many people for a start, and she needed to get away from here. Walking along Row Street, she doesn't understand where the familiar feeling came from. Suddenly, she remembered that this was the same alley. And in 3 years, this place will become her hiding place. Hiding from the men who were looking, her girlfriend remembers that she was cold and hungry, and the air was humid and smelly. In this dirty and dark alley, the main character was hiding from evil people, and for her, it was the only and safe place. However, both then and now, it is unpleasant for her to be here. Suddenly, local guys appeared in front of Roy, saying that it was unusual to see such a rich girl on this street. They asked the girl if she had run away from home. The young lady thought that such alleys always introduce vile individuals who might pest her. The men ask if she had a fight with her mom or with her boyfriend. The main character looks at them and says that she is lost. And she had the feeling that everything was the same as before. Unfamiliar men surrounded the girl and said what a pity. They ask if she knows what happens to those who get lost in these nooks and crannies. One of the guys says that very funny things happen to annoying sheep that climb over the fence. The young lady invites unknown men not to touch her. She says that she is tired of being perceived as a small and weak girl, and because the main character looks young, those around her consider her easy prey. They see that the girl is weak and becomes a target for them. However, she had to cope with the villains who surrounded her from all sides. The young lady thought that she was very tired of this because they were so stupid that they did not understand the warnings. The vile man came closer to the girl and grabbed her by the neck. At this time, the game again warned them not to touch it. Wood. On the street, you can hear the fuming of a merchant who kicks the man out of his store and says that he decided to interfere with his trade and this time pretended to be a buyer. What kind of checks can there be in the middle of the day? The man replies that he should have kept a close eye on his trading. Since there are a lot of hooligans, there should be checks. However, the young man's gaze was turned by the screams of the men who surrounded the girl and shouted about what she could do to them. The unfamiliar man did not think for a long time and quickly ran up to the vile guys and beat one of them. Turning to the other men, he asks what kind of riots are happening during the holiday. The surprised guy asks who he is and that he is interfering in this. The man replies that he is the assistant to the leader of the knightly order. The robber says that they don't believe him, and the man says that he will now show them the documents. The assistant to the knightly order shows the documents and says let them look carefully since there are 2 swords on the order. Seeing this, the robbers decided to quickly run away so as not to be detained. The assistant of the knightly order looks at the girl and asks if she is injured. Because this street is too dangerous to walk here alone, the main character confidently replies that it was not necessary to save her since the danger threatened them more than her. And she thought that they had taken her brand new knife, which the girl bought today. The guy asks how she was going to deal with them. The young girl replies that she would simply like to repay evil for evil, but he interfered, so nothing happened. The assistant of the knightly order thought that these were reckless thoughts, because she is so small, but so cruel. The guy says that in such cases it is customary to simply thank her for her help and patted her on the head saying baby. Hearing this, the girl got very angry, and the assistant to the knight's order asks what's wrong if he called the baby a baby. Looking at the guy Row, she thought about why she met him now and not at another time. The guy noticed that the girl was looking at him strangely and asked why she was looking at him like that because he knew that he was very handsome. The main character replies that she is simply surprised by his joyful face. Standing near the grave, the guy says that he really hates Row, and if she wants to divorce him, then he will do so because he doesn't care. The girl realizes that all she remembers is his gloomy face. The assistant to the knight's order asks the girl if it is true that she liked him, because this is not entirely correct because she is still a baby. The young lady thought that this person did not know her yet, and she says that she agreed to meet her friends in the central square, but got lost. And he asks if he knows where to go. The unfamiliar guy says that it was not necessary to save her, but it looks like she needs help showing the way. He suggests that the young lady follow him. The assistant to the knight's order showed the girl where she should go because there would be a central square. The young lady says that her acquaintance is already standing there. The guy asked if he was her boyfriend. An unfamiliar man says that a date is good, but you shouldn't stay out late and let her return home early. Tell Roya that this is not her boyfriend. Hearing this, the assistant of the knightly order says that at her age everyone says that. The girl said goodbye to the guy and called his name, thereby surprising him. The guy thought that she left without even looking back. But, however, Keynes is pleased to see that she is with friends. Remembering what the girl said, The guy thought that the whole world had turned its back on her. The assistant of the nightly order says that today is the beginning of the holiday, so it's beautiful outside, but still he feels lonely. The guy thinks about the girl because the words sounded somehow unusual, and this may be because of her appearance. But he still calms himself down because he can't have anything with such a little girl. He realizes that dirty thoughts flashed through his head. Keynes remembered that he did not tell this unfamiliar girl his name. Arthur Robert asks Ro if she is okay. And where did she go? Cecilia reports that they have been looking for a girl for a long time. The blonde guy looked at the blonde and asked if she was drunk. Cecilia claims that she is not drunk, she just drank a little. The blonde says to have a tasting, and she drank 1 glass and is not drunk. Cecilia hugs Ro and says that she loves her very much because the girl is very good and saved her life. The blonde remembered that she bought a tasty treat for the girl and invites her to try it. Ro asks Arthur when the blonde will come to her senses. The guy tells her that not soon. Perhaps she will be very ashamed tomorrow when she remembers her behavior and comes to her house to apologize. However, it seems that the blonde is not new to this matter. Cecilia says she feels sick, and Arthur offers her a bag. The main character, looking at all this, eats sweets and does not experience any emotions. It seems strange to Roy, because it is the same life with which the same events should happen. Initially, her life was supposed to be uninteresting and monotonous. However, events arise that are slightly different from what she remembers. The main character ultimately made the first choice to save Cecilia, because she doesn't want to be called a murderer, and this would lead to other consequences. However, the future will not change due to new events. The young lady thinks that if someone tries to kill her again, she will certainly do the same. However, as a result, she will have to go on the run again. It's hard for Roy to imagine that in 3 years she could live a different life. The girl's thoughts were interrupted by Arthur's question why she was so serious and if something had happened. The main character replies that she simply met a person she knows. The blonde guy asks if this man is pleasant to her. The young lady replies that she didn't really, although he didn't like her. Arthur asks the girl because some person didn't like her, and Roy doesn't care. The young lady replies that she has no intention of hating anyone. The magician asks a question. Why was the young lady so wary of this man? The girl replies that the thing is that on that day she didn't want him to find out what she was like and change his relationship. Cecilia says she said it would be beautiful here in the evening. Roy looks out into the street and lights up the street for the first time during the holiday. However, girls are more accustomed to that smelly alley because she has the feeling that she is in a place where she shouldn't be. Because if her life changes a little, then maybe the young lady can get out of that darkness. The blonde takes the girl by the hand and offers to go with her and take good seats. There is no time left and they need to hurry. A few minutes later, all the guests who were at the holiday with pleasure watched the fireworks. The main character thought about whatever her future might be, and she would like to enjoy what she has now. Keen stands near the sink and says that he feels very bad, but they hear in response that he needed to drink less. Because yesterday after work, he drank until the morning. The young guy asks his brother when he arrived, and in response, he hears that he just did because the entire corridor can hear him vomiting. The count says Isaac's voice makes his head ring. The brother asks why he constantly drinks, since drinking always has such consequences. Keynes asks his brother what he has been doing in his room since the morning. Isaac answers what he's been wanting to say for a long time, but he hasn't seen him for a long time. The brother says that it would be better to say this in a more serious setting. He is very sorry because Keynes is engaged. Hearing about this, the assistant of the nightly order was very surprised. His brother informs him that his bride is the daughter of the Marquis Chloe. Keynes asks if Leston is the same father Chloe knows. Count Isaac was informed that she was his sister, and the brother will see the bride today at the ball. Talking to Lionel's father, he asks if the girl is too young to get engaged. The father replies that they have already agreed because they need this alliance. The guy thinks about how he would like to interfere, but he can't do anything, and asking himself how he would explain everything to Roy. Lionel's tells his sister that she will have to go to the ball alone. The girl replies that she doesn't care and shouldn't worry about it. The brother says that regarding the engagement, the father cannot be persuaded. The sister replies that it doesn't matter to her, because it had to happen someday anyway. Lionel says he understands everything, but he probably perceived her as a little girl. The guy wanted to ask his sister about the words that she said then in the corridor. Roy asks if he's talking about whether they were even a family. However, in a real family, emotional communication and pleasant memories of each other are not important because this does not exist between her and her brother. Hearing this, Leonel's claims that she forgot about it, and if she needs help, let her ask. Roy claims that she will not need help because at the most dangerous moment, instead of helping, he will begin to attack her. The main character, turning to her brother, tells him to forget everything she told him. The girl says that she needs to prepare for the ball, and therefore she does not have time to communicate with him. Leonel's thought that she was behaving suspiciously. However, he does not understand what he did wrong. Cecilia, seeing the main character, apologizes for yesterday. Roy reassures the blonde, saying that she had fun because she saw for the first time how alcohol can affect a person. Cecilia reports that she was overexcited, but her expressions of love were sincere. And as an apology, she will tell the young lady an important thing. The blonde invites the young girl to try sweets because they are her love. The main character thought that Cecilia was the complete opposite of Leston. Her daughter-in-law is very sweet. Wherever she is, she immediately becomes brighter and lighter. It feels like even the atmosphere is changing for the better. However, the main character does not understand why the blonde did not marry the cold Leston. Since Cecilia simply attracts people's attention, the person who sees them behind her is Arthur. He doesn't have any special achievements yet, but he has enormous popularity. Roy tells the blonde to get away from here, because of Arthur, others will come here. Arthur claims that when others find out that the main character is a magician, she will also have a lot of fans. The Witcher has always been a subject of curiosity in society. Cecilia says that she doesn't think because that's all there is to it. The blonde guy claims that there are usually several reasons why people pay attention. The blonde says that because of Arthur, no one approaches her, and of course they are friends, but still she also wants a romantic relationship. The blonde guy tells his girlfriend to do what she wants because he doesn't dissuade her. Sweet Cecilia and the respected magician Arthur Robert attract all the attention of the guests. The aristocrats think they are a very beautiful couple, but too much attention is also annoying, as is all the general hatred. However, Arthur is very smart and quickly drove everyone away from him. Roy, eating sweets, thinks that it is quite tasty, and if she were that beggar woman from a dark alley, she would try everything that is here. However, she is now a lady who needs to think about her reputation. The main character thought that she needed to retire somewhere and try a piece of sweets. The young lady thought that her ears were tired because she wanted to get away from prying eyes, and it turns out that they were only gossiping about Cecilia. The girl noticed that Cecilia also heard gossip about herself, and yet he doesn't do anything, he just leaves. The main character thought that she didn't want to get involved, but it looked like she would have to intervene. Walking along the corridor, she ran into a girl who asked her to apologize because she was inattentive. An unfamiliar girl looks at the gossips and says that you shouldn't mess with them, and asks Roy if she heard it too. The girl with beautiful earrings claims that they say that because they are jealous, although this is too much because they can't say anything to your face. And it seems to her that Lady Cecilia is very upset. Since the young lady knows her closely, she offers to console her. I heard about this. The main character noticed that the blonde had disappeared somewhere. But however, if the girl finds her, then the problem is to console her since she has never done this. Roy doesn't understand why she's so worried about these frivolous conversations. If the blonde asked her to deal with those gossips, the girl would happily agree. The main character thought about how much it mattered to her how Cecilia felt. Walking down the corridor, the young lady met Noel and thought of confiding in him. The girl said that she needed to talk to him. Keynes, looking from the balcony at the aristocrats, thinks that all those present are such uninteresting people. However, among them is his fiancée. The Count saw Roy and said with pleasure that they had met again, because she is the same young lady he met yesterday. Hearing this, the main character says that this is true. Keynes asks Noel why he and her can have a date. Noel asks the same question if he knows this girl. The Count replies that he helped her find her way yesterday. Noel says that surprisingly, this is the same reveler he was talking about yesterday. Hearing this, the Count says that he worked yesterday and saved this little girl, and was also on duty monitoring the safety of the residents. Keynes asks his friend to tell him more about whether he is dating this young lady. And isn't he afraid of heavenly punishment? Noel replies that they are just friends, especially since they are only 3 years apart and should not judge him by himself. The main character claims that she is not a child, and he will regret his hasty conclusions. Hearing this, the young master replies that if she is a baby, then he will only call her baby. The girl turns to the guy and says that one said her name and asks what she can call him. The young lady introduced herself, saying her name to Ro. The guy with scarlet eyes heard this and was very surprised. At this time, a small piece of the wall collapsed on Cecilia and Arthur. Keynes asks that this is quite serious, aren't they injured? The lady replies that it seems that the wind was too strong and that this was an accident. However, Arthur suffered more than she did. The magician says that he has a small scratch because everything happened unexpectedly and he did not have time to use magic. Arthur reports that the ball is over and he noticed that the royal ears are not visible. The guy suggests checking what's wrong first. Cecilia, say that she can't get up because she has no strength in her legs at all. Arriving at the scene of destruction, Roy takes a piece of glass and says that it seems to her that this is not an accident, and she thinks there's magic and attempted murder involved. The main character, using her strength, thinks that her strength is not enough because her control is too weak for a 15-year-old girl. Arthur thought about the fact that Ro had such strong mana, but her reaction is simply amazing, and it goes beyond the magic of a 15-year-old teenager. Surprised, Keynes recalls that the girl told him that he would regret that he called her baby. However, the guy understands that she is a magician and has a fairly high level. Worried, Cecilia thought that she would die. While fighting black magic, the main character asks who he is. And in response, he hears the question of who she is, because the girl dared to interfere with him, and he sees her for the first time. The glass magician invites the young lady to show what she is capable of. Roy answers that this is not the most suitable state for battle. However, if he dares to attack her, he will gladly accept his challenge. Arthur intervenes and says it's time to put an end to this outrage, and he won't tolerate it anymore. An unknown magician, addressing Arthur, says that he is disgusting, because he is just a magician and pretends to be a good citizen. Arthur confidently replies that it will be easy because he is a magician of no higher than average level. However, he is not the equal of the heir to the Robert family. The blonde guy noticed that the black magician had changed direction. The glass magician says that he knows that he cannot cope with him. However, he knows that the blonde boy has one weakness, and he asks who will Arthur save. While saving people, Arthur loses his powers. However, a dark magician noticed this loss of strength and says that he does not have enough mana to protect himself. Scattering glass fragments, the dark magician aimed to hit Roy, but Keynes came to the girl's defense, and the girl asks why he did it. The guy replies that they usually say thank you for saving her, and if it weren't for him, she would have been hurt. The wounded guy asks the main character if she is okay. The black magician noticed that Roy's hands were shaking, and he asked if she was afraid. Because the girl has strong magic, but still listens to other people, he calls her a simpleton. Hearing this, the girl screams that she is not afraid of him and will blow him to pieces if the black magician wants it that way. At this time, Arthur feels very strong mana. However, this is dangerous and can lead to serious consequences. The guy thinks that he needs to figure it out himself. Since there is a small wound, the fair-haired guy is confident that he will cope. Arthur tells the girl to move away a little because he can handle it himself. The guy thinks that he will destroy the black magician with one blow, and he gathered all his strength and directed it to destroy the dark magician. At this time, the space is filled with light, and all the people in the hall look at it. The surprised main character does not understand what Arthur is doing. The glass magician turns to the girl and tells her not to succumb to the deception of people and not to let out emotions in her heart, and he will be sorry if the girl loses her essence as a magician. Finally, the black magician, turning to the girl, said that they would see each other again. Keynes is happy to say that the power of magicians is something incredible. Arthur is sure that the black magician used glass. He offers to remove all the glass in the estate, and no more black magic will get to them. The guy asks if Cecilia is okay. The girl replies that she is not injured and is worried about her friend. The blonde guy is sure that this is nothing because he will ask the healer to cure him. He asks if Roy was hurt. The lady replies that this is not the problem at all because the black magician has disappeared. The girl claims that she should have finished him off. Arthur assures the girl that what is important now is that no one was seriously injured. The guests disperse and say among themselves that the criminal could not be captured. However, it is dangerous here. They need to leave because the banquet is over. But one lady is sorry because it was a royal ball. Keynes, sitting on a bench, is bandaging a wound that hurts very badly, and the red liquid does not stop. Roya approached the guy and asked why he intervened, because she said that she didn't need to be saved. The young man replies that he knew that she was a magician, and it just seemed incredible to him. The girl claims that she can take care of herself, and they suggest that the guy should not interfere next time. Keynes replies what offensive words he said because he did not interfere, but was only worried about the girl. The person says that his body reacts faster than his thoughts, and he cannot do anything about it. Taking the girl's hand, Keynes looked at her and said that it was a very deep cut. The guy says that every magician has his own means of magic, and this means that for the main character, it is a red liquid. And this means that Ro must cut you in order to strike the enemy. Having bandaged the young lady's hand, the guy says that everything is ready, and when she returns, let her seek help from a doctor so that there is no scar left. Keynes is informed that it is time for him and tells the girls to be sure to treat the wound. The main character, looking at the guy who is about to leave, says that her name is Ro Chloe. Hearing about this, the guy says that he will remember her name. However, he calls it a coincidence since his fiancée is also called that. However, my brother comes into the room and asks what is happening here. Seeing the girl, Isaac asks his brother if he met Miss Roy. The surprised guy asks how he knows her. The concerned count suggests that his brother observe etiquette towards the lady. And then, turning to the main character, he says that he, as an older brother, did not teach him anything. Isaac announces that he will officially introduce him to Lady Ro Chloe, who is his fiancée. Keynes heard about this. Roderick was very surprised. Looking in the mirror, the person who ordered the attack did not think that there would be another magician next to Cecilia. She screams, looking into the broken mirror, and says that he should have done everything right. When talking to Brother Keynes, ask him if this can be called an engagement. Since the girls are only 15, and there is an 8-year age difference between him and her. However, for the guy it seems like a crime. Count Isaac claims that at the age of 15, it is already officially permitted to enter into betrothals. An angry Keynes screams and asks why they are already engaged. However, his brother married for love, and why should he? The Count calms him down and says that they are just engaged. And even if they get married, Lady Roya must first turn 18. Keynes argue that even 18 years is too young, and especially since she's the only daughter of the Marquis Chloe. The guy says that her family has nothing to regret. Usually at this age, they already begin to look for the heir of an aristocratic family. The man is sure that since the girl is a magician, her father definitely wants to give his daughter to someone like him. However, whatever one may say, there are many strange moments in this engagement. Count Isaac admits that with her help, he wants to improve relations with the Marquis Chloe, but this is simply a precaution for political reasons. And if what he fears does not happen, then the engagement can be terminated. Keynes asks what will happen to Ro. The brother replies that he is sorry because her engagement will be called off and she will be put up for auction again. The guy understands that they want to use the baby for political purposes and then abandon her. The brother says what he needs as the head of the clan, but suddenly, Keynes says that he will stop making excuses because he understood the situation and offered to talk about the rest later. Keynes leaves and the Count asks where he is going, and the guy replies that he is going to work because this is an order and he needs to find out who ruined the banquet. The main character did not sleep all night because she was thinking about the same thing. The girl thinks about why she didn't answer, however. This reason is fear, which she cannot experience. And this is a low emotion for the weak and inferior. The young lady always tried to protect herself, but she never felt a sense of fear. On the contrary, those who appeared in front of her were afraid. Roy cannot admit that she lost to this glued-together magician. However, she understands that there was neither victory nor defeat. However, she does not want to be in Arthur and Keynes's debt. The girl developed new emotions, anger or irritation. The main character does not understand what is happening to her because she has a strange, unpleasant feeling. Roy thinks that she needs to find the damn glass magician. Arriving in the room, the maid tells the lady that she woke up early. The girl orders everything to be prepared for the trip. Betty asks where Roy is going to go. The young lady thought because she needs to find a person, and she still doesn't know where she should go. Betty reports that if a girl needs to find someone, she can turn to Mr. Leston for help. Hearing this, the main character says that she would not like this. Arthur, having come to his friends, asked how they were feeling. Noel replied that he was fine. Cecilia reported that she was healed by a servant who knew how to use healing magic. Madame is worried, and that because of her, many people have suffered. Hey, it's somehow uneasy because the criminal has not yet been caught. Arthur calms the girl down and tells her not to worry because a request for help has come from the knightly order, and the criminal will most likely be caught. Cecilia, You say that this is the same person who pushed her into the river last time and is the magician with the glass. The blonde magician says that this is strange since the criminal is a magician. Why, when he attempted to kill Cecilia for the first time, he simply pushed her into the water. However, it would be much easier for him to achieve his goal if he used magic where there are few people. Arthur says he doesn't want to think about it, but it's likely that two different people are trying to kill Cecilia. Noel remembers that there were several suspicious characters at the banquet. During the ball, Ro came up to him and said that some ladies were speaking badly about her sister, and she could hear it all. The girl asked me to console you. Cecilia says she knows who her brother is talking about. However, she was not at all affected by the words of those ladies because she was simply looking for Ro and accidentally walked into a remote corner and thought that there was no point in contacting them for a day. Noel asks if these gossips are also criminals. They can hire a magician to harm her. The sister says she doesn't think so because she knows those ladies, and they just like to spread rumors, but they wouldn't kill. The lady says that she is so surprised because Ro was worried about her. She thinks it's touching that the girl asked to console her and then saved her. Arthur thought that the young lady was gradually beginning to understand the feelings of those around her. However, her magic was amazing and magnificent. The blonde guy reported that he had found out one fact, and this means that Ro is capable of killing a person. She has enormous power and therefore can do this if she wants. Arthur says that if he had not stopped her, innocent people could have suffered because of her magic. The magician claims that as soon as Ro gains the title of a dangerous magician, her life will become unbearable. Because he is a bloody magician, dangerous and ruthless. With such a bad reputation in society, she would be an easy target for attacks. The servant informs Mr. Robert that Lady Ro Chloe has come to see him. Entering the room, the girl says that she came because she wanted to talk. The Count suggests that the girl first sit down as he will bring her tea. Arthur asks Ro if she wanted to talk about this glass magician. The girl asks where she can find him. The Count calms the girl down and tells her not to worry about catching the criminal, but the Knightly Order and their family have already agreed on a joint search. The lady with red hair says she wants to find him first. Arthur asks if she has any special reason why she wants to find him. The main character replies that he attacked her and asks what reasons are needed to find the one who tried to kill her. Young ladies say that's why she came here, because I don't know where to look for him. She is asked to tell her only the method, since she will figure it out on her own. The blonde guy is thinking about what is the best thing to do and whether it would be right to share information with Ro. However, someone might suddenly get hurt, because he can be close to her to prevent danger. The Count says that the Emperor has already issued a decree, and there is a request for the cooperation of the Knightly Order, and he, as the heir of the Robert family, cannot act only at her request. However, if the girl agrees to participate in the investigation together, he will be able to help her. Arthur asks the main character if she likes this proposal. He thinks that this worries him a little, however, he can stop Roya from going down the wrong path. Arriving at the large palace, the main character asks what this place is. Arthur replies that this is the estate of one of the Alley family of magicians. Viscountess Oriana Alley uses time for her magic, and she can help find clues to the past or future. The main character heard this and thought about whether she could find out the future. The Count says that she is approximately 500 years old, but she does not age at all. Arriving at the room, Oriana met them, and the Duke thanked her for receiving them despite the sudden visit. Viscountess Oriana says that if the body touches the magicians, then she is ready to help. The woman says that Arthur did not come alone. The main character immediately introduced herself, saying her name, and the woman smiled tenderly and said that she had such a smart look and that she was a very nice lady. Oriana, holding the deck in her hands, says that the cards will show why they came. The woman offers to choose 3 cards for them while thinking about her question. Looking at the drawn cards, the woman says that she understood what happened to her friend Cecilia, and finding the answer to Roya's question will not be easy. Oriana reports that this magician hides his location and has unusual abilities. The magician can move outside of reality, for example using glass or mirrors. The woman says that to be more precise, he uses the property of reflection. The peculiarity of such magicians is that they do not show themselves. They hide in the darkness and display the dark sides of others, like a mirror in the fairy tale about Snow White. Oriana reports that the mirror fueled the queen's feelings of inferiority and forced her to kill Snow White, because it controlled her action. The main character thought about what this meant. The real villain in the fairy tale was the mirror, not the queen. And it turns out that Snow White is Cecilia. The woman, looking at the next card, says that she is, together with the queen, a wish card. And she points to a lady her age, who yawns her suppressed desires to the magician in the mirror. Roy thinks that the incident at the lake was also caused by a wish whispered by the demon. It seems to her that the pieces fit into one picture. The blonde guy says that the queen pushed Cecilia into the water, and the magician who broke the window is the magician from the mirror. They are accomplices. The main character asks if they cannot find the magician in the mirror, then they can find the queen outside the mirror. Oriana reports that the exact location is difficult to find out. However, her emotions may be a clue, because she experiences very negative feelings such as anger, hostility, envy, feelings of inferiority. And the only positive thing is to be kind towards her. Surprised, Arthur asks, because this is not anger, but goodwill. The woman explains that it is close to an obsession with what she cannot get. Oriana thinks she is irresponsibly in love with him. The woman asks Mr. Robert if he has any idea who it might be. The man replies that he can't even imagine because there are so many candidates for the role of the criminal, and that is why it is difficult to narrow down the list of suspects. Roe talks about thinking simpler. However, if the queen committed a crime against Cecilia out of jealousy, then she would become Arthur's lover. Hearing this, Oriana says that the girl offers not to look for the criminal, but simply to force her to come here. She compliments that the girl is very smart. The main character says that if she just dances with Arthur at any ball, then she herself will try to attack her. The blonde guy, hearing it, says that it is dangerous. The woman confirms his words because the nice lady should be more careful. However, the magician in the mirror seems to be one of those individuals whose criminal inclinations are stronger than even the instinct of self-preservation. And fighting with such a cruel fanatic can be very dangerous. The young lady says that it doesn't matter since she is still stronger. Hearing this, Arthur objects because he doesn't think this is a good way. Tell Roy that there is no other way to find out his whereabouts. And if there is, then let him share. The blonde guy says that they have a lead to start with, and now she needs to come to an agreement with the knightly order and take action. The guy says that he is against her idea. The main character asks the woman why she doesn't say anything about the last card. Oriana answers that this card shows the result. If he says in advance, it will not be interesting. And even more so, the future depends on how they interpret it. The young lady says if she can predict the future, then it is predetermined. The woman replies that she doesn't even know, and it depends on how they feel about it, because there is good and evil on all cards. However, destruction is just destruction, and people themselves define this phenomenon as something negative. And whether it will bring a good change or a bad one depends only on the person himself. Roy stands up and says, since they are finished, and suggests that they quickly go in search of the criminal. The woman says that Miss Roy can't wait to figure it out quickly, and asks why Arthur wanted to talk in private. The guy replies that he has a question about the girl. The blonde guy asks the woman if she knows anything about blood magic. Oriana Allais recalls that Roe's mother was a magician, but left this world early. And perhaps that's why she never had the opportunity to learn emotions. The woman says that the young lady's magic is far beyond that of a teenager, because the girl did not have a teacher, but she has good technique, and her reaction speed is simply incredible. Arthur says that the strangest thing is that he tried to find Roya information since it is unknown who her mother was and how the girl lived all this time. The guy says that the ancient manuscripts also say nothing about blood magic, so he thought that maybe the woman knew about it. Oriana claims because she knows that he was the last person to use blood magic, and he asks why he is so interested in this. Arthur replies that he is very worried about Roy, and it seems to him that she is slowly beginning to show emotions. But on the other hand, he is worried about how problems may arise due to her hostile attitude. The guy claims that in turn he will try to stop her if something happens. However, if young mages begin to feel emotions, they may feel ashamed of it. Oriana says that Roy's confusion is a natural process, but does this mean that the guy should stop her? However, this sounds too presumptuous. The woman argues that Ro Sama must go through these trials, and she is not a disaster that needs to be stopped. Arthur says that he considered the girl dangerous. Oriana says that the more doubts he has about Ro, the more carefully he should take a closer look at himself. The guy agrees with the woman because perhaps he was not worried about the girl at all. Arthur thinks that maybe he is also afraid that society is rejecting the girl. However, the guy wanted to become a good friend for Ro, and meanwhile, all this time he suspected the girl because of his own insecurities. The blonde guy understands that he should not judge or suspect others. He should just trust Roya. The woman says that she couldn't help him in any way, and the guy, hearing this, objects because it's the other way around, and everything became clearer in his head. Arthur claims that he did the right thing because he asked Oriana for advice. Viscountess Oriana invites the guy to come more often because old people love it when people come to them for no reason. Arriving at the girl, Arthur asks how long she has been waiting. Roy asks him where they are going now. You? The guy suggests making a plan. However, he agreed to meet Noel. Roy claims that she needs to become his lover and don't let the guy stop her. Since the main character came to participate in the search and she has the right to do so. Arthur agrees with the young lady and suggests they try to act out the scene. The surprised young lady asks why he suddenly changed his mind. The guy looks at the girl and replies that they are friends who should help each other, and it's natural that he believes her. Viscountess Oriana Alley, left alone, thought that it was interesting because it means that Ro Chloe is a blood mage. Fate comes into play after people begin to experience feelings in the very depths of their souls. Arthur Robert, a symbol of good and heir to a famous family of magicians, as well as Ro Chloe, a symbol of evil from whose family was erased from history. The magician, who has not yet been released, repeat his tragic fate. The woman is concerned about whether they can avoid grief and their predecessors. The man says that it's like looking for a needle in a haystack because they don't have any clues. He does not understand how to find the one who ruined the banquet, since all that is known is that he is a magician. Noel says that today news came that a man would be sent from the Robert family, and he thinks he will help. Having heard about this, Keynes asks if they should meet here. Noel says that they did not agree to meet here because he will find it himself. The Count, seeing Arthur together with the young lady, asks what kind of alliance this is. Noel replies that this is the heir of Duke Robert and the daughter of the Marquis Chloe. Arthur introduced himself to the gentleman, and he said in surprise that this was unexpected since the heir to the Robert family arrived in person. The man with scarlet eyes says his name is Keynes Roderick, and he is the assistant leader of the order. Keynes asks what the young lady is doing here. The girl replies that she came to look for the criminal. The surprised assistant to the leader of the order says that she is Sir Leston's sister Chloe, and asks that her brother did not say anything against it. The girl replies that she doesn't really care about her business. And besides, she is not a little girl who needs a guardian, and she can decide for herself what to do. Having heard about this, Keynes says that brother and sister are very similar in character. The girl claims that she does not look like Leston. Surprised, Noel asks the young lady if Sir Leston is her brother. The girl also asks what's wrong with this, and the guys look at the girl and say that she is very similar to her brother. Roy objects that they are not alike. Arthur says that they have gathered here to find the criminal together. Since they don't have time to talk, they should start by leaving here in a quiet place. Noel says that the reason why this incident happened with Cecilia is because it's all about Arthur's jealousy of Madame Richard. Noel says he doesn't understand why Arthur is so popular. The guy, hearing this, asks the twin if he cares more about this, and not about the fact that his sister suffered because of him. Keynes says that he understands everything and asks Ro how she is going to catch the criminal. The girl replies that she will pretend to be Arthur's lover instead of Cecilia. When the guys heard about this, they were very surprised, and Arthur says that this happened. The main character explains that the criminal will become jealous of the magician for her and will come for her. Then Ro will catch her too. Keynes asks if she will succeed since the baby has a fiancé. The main character says that no one knows about this, since the engagement was unofficial. Hearing about this, Noel looks at the girl in surprise and asks if it means that Ro is engaged. The young lady replies that she and Keynes are engaged because it happened a few days ago, and she herself recently found out about it. Keynes, addressing the girl, calls her his daughter-in-law and says that an unofficial engagement is another matter, but this plan is very dangerous. The groom asks the bride if she wants to become bait for the magician, who will probably try to kill her. He understands her desire to catch the criminal, but this is too reckless. And he, as the assistant leader of the order, is against it, since he is her fiancé and is obliged to protect Ro. After listening to the guy, the young lady asks if he is taking on too much and should he not interfere in her decision, because this is just a contractual engagement. Keynes says that perhaps Roy seems to be minding his own business, but this is more concern than interference. The main character, hearing these words, thought that she was much stronger than him. Noel, supporting Keynes, says that knights will participate in the case, and he is also a little worried that the young lady will be in the most dangerous position. Arthur says that he is on his side, but he is also worried about the girl. The main character says that if they are all so worried, and asks them what she should do, because it turns out that because of them, I should suppress my desire and do as they tell her. Arthur says that they cannot tell her because magicians are complex beings. Keynes agrees with the main character and says that he will help her and let her do as she sees fit. But in return, Ro must promise him one thing. After some time, the decisive day arrived. In the carriage with Arthur, the main character asks the question whether everything will be decided today. The guy replies that we must hope that the criminal will also come to today's ball. A blonde guy asks the main character if she remembers what he told her about magicians who have not learned to show their emotions. The girl replies that he said that they are dangerous because they do not have humanity. Arthur says that such magicians have no hesitation in harming or killing another, so there is no point in trying to figure things out on their own, and suggests that they should work together. Because the most important thing is her safety. Roy replies that she understood because she had heard these words hundreds of times already. Arthur offers Roya a gift and puts a necklace with his magic around her neck and says that he thinks the girls will need it. Arriving at the ball, the fair-haired guy takes the young lady by the hand and says that he thinks that everything will work out for them. Noel came to the ball. He thought that he did not like this situation. And turning to Keynes, he says that they have now come here together and asks why he should be a partner with him. Keynes notes that he also cannot say that he is very happy about this. The guy with scarlet eyes asks where Arthur and Lady Chloe went. Noel says to find Arthur they'll just have to approach a crowd of ladies. But this turned out to be a big problem. The aristocrats watch Ro and Arthur dance and claim that they do not look like lovers, and they get the feeling that this couple was forced to dance together. Keynes comes closer to Roya and Arthur and apologizes because he will have to intervene. He turns to the young lady and says that nothing can be done about her inability to dance, but looked at her face and claims that the girl plays too poorly. Since they are not playing lovers, it is not visible from the face of the main character. Roy asks what facial expression she should make. Keynes argues that if girls need to pretend to be in love, then at least she made an embarrassed or excited face. The girl replies that this is too much. The groom claims that the young lady will smile and walk everywhere with Arthur. Everyone around will think that they are a couple in love. The main character tried to smile, and when the guys saw this, they immediately started laughing. The girl looked at them and said that they were laughing at her just like me. Keynes assures Roy that she just had such a funny expression on her face and asks why she even volunteered to pretend. The guy thinks that this idea has failed, and it is better to leave it. Hearing this girl objects and says that she will succeed. She thought that she needed to show in any way that they were a couple. Roy hugs Arthur and kisses him on the lips. Surprised guys say that they better not laugh at the baby. Seeing this, the aristocrats began to gossip that Ro and Arthur were a couple. Noel, addressing the main character, says that they did not expect this. Keynes says that she will soon become a target for the other ladies before she finds the criminal. The girl saw the ladies who spoke badly about Cecilia at the last ball. The young lady thought she could follow them. The guys offer to go together, but the main character refuses because they are not dangerous, and she will simply check this situation and return. By listening to gossip, the young lady learned a lot about herself, and she realized that these ladies were washing everyone's bones. Stranger lady, tell others that it is disgusting to watch an illegitimate child pretend to be an honored guest. Because the girl doesn't even know the nutritional rules of etiquette.